Okay, so the next figure I have here, as stated previously, I picked him up along with that Jerry Mahoney I just showed you, Stinky Mahoney as I call him. This guy is an apparently fairly rare and expensive figure to pick up. And I'll explain the box here in a second. In my hands, I hold a Knucklehead Smith from the 1960s. Now this is a later release of Knucklehead. You can tell because, for one thing, the checker pattern on the shirt is a bit more, well, they kind of shrank it down a little bit. They didn't use the same kind of material, the same pattern I should say. And for whatever reason, this one has the Paul Winchell's Knucklehead Smith tag on the right side instead of over the left pocket. And another odd thing about mine in particular, the lower jaw, it's probably going to be a bit hard to tell, but it's a slightly different color than the rest of the head. It's like almost a pink, I'll call it. Like someone just took that lower jaw, dipped it in pink paint, and then put the red lip on it, and then stuck it in his head. And the rest of his head is basically the same as all the other Knucklehead Smiths that were produced, which was not many, which is the reason why this guy is such a hard figure to find. Now with this figure, when I got him with the other Jerry, here's kind of an interesting story. The guy who sold this to me said that his mother had purchased that Jerry Mahoney and this Knucklehead Smith years ago, and she would keep Jerry over there, kind of up out of the reach of the children, and the kids were allowed to play with Knucklehead, which is evident by the fact that when I got him, his head was completely detached. I actually do have some photos that the guy sent me when I was originally working out the deal with these, so I'm going to throw those pictures up on the screen here in a second. As you can see, Knucklehead here, he's seen some better days. But he still has his tag over his pocket, which, like with Jerry over there, they're a bit musty, unfortunately. I did put the outfit through the washer several times, and it's, let's just say you wouldn't want to be like this close, this close to him. Wouldn't want to have your nose like right up on him. And for whatever reason, he's got like this clear plastic stuff that's dripped on the back of his head. It's kind of like candle wax. It's just like in random spots. And he's got a couple of random little marks on his face, like right there on the tip of his nose you can see, and right over here on his chin, his jawline, his cheek. He's got a little mark there. So, oh right, I was getting to the story. So the kids were allowed to play with Knucklehead here, but they weren't allowed to play with Jerry, as evidenced by the fact that Knucklehead here he's a bit worse for wear. And Jerry over there, aside from his tie being a little, hanging off a bit, he's basically brand new. And the reason why Knucklehead here is next to the Swim Fin set is because the guy who sold this to me, years ago they lost the original box for Knucklehead, and they replaced it with this. The main reason I think that they did that was because with the Jerry Mahoney boxes, I think you might have seen, they have a cardboard handle on the top, so you could actually just like grab it and pick up Jerry and walk off with him after you're done with your show, of course. So I think they just wanted Knucklehead to have a similar box, and he does actually fit in that box fairly well. Not that I'm going to show you right now. But yeah, I did what I could to fix him up. I believe one of his legs was, like half on, so I used my sewing skills and reattached the other half of his knee. Thankfully, that was like the only thing that needed done. And when it came to reattaching the head, they originally took a piece of wire and just kind of like jabbed it down into the neck hole. I believe one of the pictures that the guy sent me shows that off. I'll throw that up here in a minute, and I'll like actually point out where the metal is just like sticking out. But obviously that didn't work because, Knucklehead's head just kept falling off. So that's been Knucklehead Smith, everyone. He's got his original shoes. He's unfortunately missing his dickie, but the rest of his outfit is there and in surprisingly good shape, considering he was played with so much. There you go. Now, we're moving on to the next figure. Okay, so the next figure is another equally hard to find figure, and that's because, if you notice the box behind him, right over here, it is Knucklehead Smith again. So as I was saying about the other one, with these earlier Knuckleheads, they had the better quality of the materials used to put them together. Like, you'll notice the checker pattern on this one is a bit more widely spaced than that other one. Another thing you'll notice right off the bat is the tag is right over his left pocket instead of being over the right pocket. And an interesting thing about these ones is that the hands are made out of a nice hard plastic, but it looks like they used the molds from the composition hands. Yeah, see, it's actually a nice hard plastic. He's got his original dickie with the bow tie, and as I was talking about with the other one, the jaw was not the right color to go with the head, whereas this one, the coloration of the jaw actually matches the coloration of the rest of his head. So one thing, the Knucklehead that I showed you before and this one are both pull-string puppets. Another thing that you're able to tell the difference between these puppets is the legs. I don't think I actually showed this, but on that other Knucklehead, the actual fabric used to make the legs is a much lighter brown than this. Here, I'll go grab him real quick and I'll do a little side-by-side comparison. One moment. Alright, so see his leg, and now see his leg. It's not quite a difference of night and day, but it is a very noticeable difference. Oops-a-daisy. That's something these two Knuckleheads have in common, is that this one's head likes to fall off. Son of a beep. Hopefully I didn't just damage him. But like I just said, his head likes to fall off. Okay there, Knucklehead? Looks like you got a new paint rub on your cheek there. Dang it. But anyway, that's Knucklehead Smith. These puppets are exceptionally expensive, which is part of the reason I'm so irritated with myself right now. This particular figure, if you were to go online and try and pick one up off of eBay, would cost you roughly $600 to $700. And I just let his head fall off like it was nothing. Anyway, thankfully with this guy, at some point in the past, someone used elastic. That's the word I was looking for when I was talking about to Jury over there, his extra pair of pants. But someone used a piece of elastic to reattach his head at some point. So his head can be just, thankfully, just kind of twisted back into place. They also used that same material to replace the rubber band in his mouth. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. When I got this particular Knucklehead, as I was saying before, he had his original dickie with the bow tie, his full original suit with the shoes. Gotta be careful because I don't want his head falling off again. He came with the original box, which is extremely rare to come with, considering that box is 50-ish years old. And, the most important thing, Knucklehead here came with the original booklet on how to be a ventriloquist. Released by Juro Novelty as part of their Celebrity Dolls set. And it also has a small biography of Paul Winchell and the history of ventriloquism as assisted by Jerry Mahoney. The box is not in the greatest of shape, unfortunately. The part that's off camera that I have hidden over here, well, I'll just show you real quick. Carefully. It's basically ripped off. I'm gonna guess some kid back in the 50s got knucklehead here and got really excited and just like tore into their gift and basically ripped the box in half trying to get them out. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I was talking about Stinky Mahoney and his accomplice Stinky Smith. Those two together, because, well, the Jerry himself was $75, and they threw in Knucklehead just because his head was detached and he had a little bit of damage to him. Can you believe that? This Knucklehead, I actually have the receipt from when I bought him online. The grand total for this little guy, this $600 to $700 plus ventriloquial figure, cost me just shy of 26 bucks. Just wanted to let y'all know about that. Alright, Knucklehead, you ready to move on to the next one? Yeah, sure. Oh, another quick little fun fact. When Paul Winchell did the voice of Tigger for Winnie the Pooh, he was basically just doing his Knucklehead voice, tuned up a little bit, and, you know, with more of an inflection. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! So there you go. Next, we'll see who's on the list.